we left the cigar lounge last night. I was like, this is awesome. You guys have like a social club. Because I was it is a cigar lounge. Anybody can come from the street and come in and smoke, but it's yours. You know, you go in there and it's the same rotation of guys, and they understand like this is sort of it reminds me, have you seen A Bronx Tale? It is a great, forgotten about though, but a great like sort of mob movie from the 1990s. I think Brian De Palma maybe. But there's a scene where the guy is growing up in an Italian neighborhood, and he and his buddies, they finally get their own social club. And it's, they got a little building, you can get drinks, you can get cigars, whatever. But the reason they got it is because it's a third place. Yeah. It's not home, it's not work. They can just sit outside and hang out, smoke cigarettes, do whatever. And it's like, you need to have that. You need the third place. And Thursday said that. That's what I was thinking of, was that vocab term. And he was like, yeah, it's a third place. And I was like, we understand. We understand the necessity of these sort of social institutions.
Yeah, and what I love about Chesterton's is we intentionally, I'm one of the owners. We intentionally had no televisions. We intentionally had no music. We wanted, and if we do have music, someone will come and they'll play an accordion. There'll be folk music. We'll be singing. We're having an arm wrestling tournament next Friday.
Of course.
And what's been wild is I know of 2 men that have converted to Catholicism. There's a fella there who, I won't give his name away, but I don't think he'd mind, but he hasn't been to confession. I think he said 38 years. And I was with him when he went to, I was in the same church when I saw him going to confession. And no one's proselytizing. No one's being weird about it. Yeah. It's just good men probably talking about how they love their families, love their wives, having fun conversations. And these men... Oh, wow. Okay, so Thursday just said, for those at home, that some fellas at the cigar lounge asked someone to leave because he was speaking poorly about his wife. That's really cool. So again, it's not weird, it's not proselytizing, it's just men coming together and being human. Yeah. That's it. I've said it before, but what I love about a cigar is when you light it up, you're committing to an hour and a half, and to a human engaging conversation. Yeah. Whereas you go to some of these cigar lounges, and God bless them, but they're just watching football.
The vibe, so to speak, is totally off. And they even, I mentioned this to you last night, where I live in Fort Worth, they just recently expanded a speakeasy into a cigar lounge. And so they bought out the upper level of the building, this old library. And so now they've got a cigar lounge up there. Nice. And it's beautifully furnished. I mean, they've got this great leather furniture, and it's just exactly what you would want it to look like. But then they've accented it with these paintings, which are, I would say, very like Reddit tier. Like they've got like a picture of Jack Nicholson smoking a cigar. Okay, yeah. And it's like, this is sort of disrupting my experience, honestly. Like you should have like a nice painting, or...
Well, like, see what we had?
Yeah. Like
Tolkien and Lewis, those paintings we've had commissioned.
Maybe, the average patron isn't going to know who those people, but something that's not just like, oh my gosh, that's the actor I like, and he's smoking and I'm smoking. What? It's like ruining the experience, sort of. It's like very like, lowest common denominator kind of. Like it went the effort, it went the extra mile to make itself look endearing and classy and sophisticated, and then it almost like tainted it with this sort of like normie.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It laid half awake in my consciousness until you said it. Like, that's it. That is it. It's like, he's an actor. I'm doing what he's doing. I must be cool.
Yeah. So things like that, maybe they just opened it up, so maybe it hasn't metastasized too much. Maybe I can just say, hey, by the way, I'll supply that's what I should offer it. I've got these old paintings, and I'll put up Chesterton and Tolkien and all these other guys, and they'll be like, there's just some old guy smoking a cigar. I'll be like, yeah, it is just some old guy.
And what's cool about Chesterton's too, I'm going to keep talking about my own company, is that, we'll have poetry reading nights. So you might think of men in a cigar lounge carrying on, swearing. It's like men reading Chesterton out loud, or Lord of the Rings, or arm wrestling. It's really cool.
Yeah, and there needs to be that, because I think a lot of the reason that men aren't involved in church or even going to church is because they don't feel like it's a natural environment to them. Yeah. I think it's largely just because women are so involved. Yeah. Doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with women necessarily. It's just that
they're holding the church together, these old Filipino women. I'm convinced of it, yeah.
It's like what is most feminine is necessarily going to be the least masculine. And men just aren't going to be interested in that.
Yeah,
it's just
like
the nature
putting on little dresses on the statue of the Infant of Prague. I've never met a man who's into that. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.